Well, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited. Give me one moment here. Let me try to get some things situated. Hopefully that you're having an amazing, and I do mean amazing, and productive, should I add, day thus far. We're definitely living in some critical times and very peculiar times, and I think that it's very essential for you to love on someone, whether it's you wear a smile, wave, or just your attitude. And remember that your attitude is a voice. All right, so here we go. Let's see if we could. All right, so listen. So we are yet here again with another version of my strategic presentations. Actually, this is going to be the final piece to what I've entitled I Concur. It's the gospel. Pretty much this series of presentations were to embrace the very gospel music. It was to embrace gospel music contributors as well as their unique perspectives and their highly inspirational careers. So today I'm definitely overly joyed because to close out, I have gospel music producer extraordinaire Sanchez HArley. This is a dream come true. Oh my God, there's so much I can say, but I will I will surrender the moment just to say welcome and thank you so much for joining me. How you doing, Sanchez?
What's up, Eric? How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm blessed that I got this opportunity here.
Not a problem. I appreciate you, reaching out, and I'm just here to serve. I'm here to help.
Yes, yes, yes. So listen, like I said yesterday, let's do an icebreaker.
All
Sanchez
right.
HArley has been just all over the place. I mean, just profoundly all over the place. I've worn various hats in the music arena, and of course, I deal with gospel music. So we're going to deal with gospel music today. So let's start off with an icebreaker, and just to reinsure, this is a song that was recorded by the Queen of Gospel, the late Queen of Gospel music, Albertina Walker. Joy will come, and after
Joy
this
will come
song,
in the morning. Yep, I remember that.
we'll be right back. All right, here we go. Let's see here. I'll make sure I get this cued. That's there. Share sound. All right. Okay.
You can weather.
Oh, you got the video.
All right. So
Where did
we're
you
back.
find that, man?
It's all over the place. So listen, Dr. Starley, listen. So since 1998, I have for the most part only dreamed of something like this to manifest. I've taken such a liking to your style, even at that particular point when I was really not fully conscious of what you done, but I knew that whatever you did, it was greatness you added and you embellished. So it's been since 1998. I was at my grandparents' house, in my auntie's room. I was going. They had some VHS tapes, and they had the Albertina Walker. And I asked my auntie Wanda. I said, "Could I take this?" I don't even think she got it back, and I wore it out. And this song right here, it touched me so very well. And of course, I've met her plenty of times, but man, so that's where it begins. And it's just really just amazing to unite this moment. I believe that it's certainly pivotal. And I thank you so much. And let me say this too. Like I always say, I always have to embrace you. And thank you so much for rendering what you've rendered to the world. Listen, it has not gone unimpactful. Your life is impactful. Your work is still working. It's still inspiring. And thank you. Sometimes often those two words are often neglected, but I just want to just surrender them to you and tell you thank you for what you've done.
Eric, thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you for reaching out, and as I said, especially in these recent times, I'm learning more and more. Of course, I knew back then But I really realize now that only what we do for Christ will last.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know,
Well,
and that's the reason I sing right now, to use a phrase of a friend, you know.
listen, let me move on because I could stagnate for a moment there. However, what's happening in 2020? I mean, there's a lot of chaos going on. So what's happening in your world 2020?
Right now, I am an adjunct at Tennessee State.
Okay.
You know, I am at Tennessee State University. I teach music production there. I also have some classes in commercial music. By the way, let me say this before we go much further. We're having a storm currently in Nashville, and that's what interrupted my internet a minute ago. So if it happens, I'll reconnect.
Okay.
You know, and I'm also, man, I'm trying to keep my craft sharp. You know, it's you know, technology has taken such a it's kind of like taken over, and I have more now than any time before. I have a passion for what I've always done, and basically I do it nightly.
Okay.
So I'm just, you know, I produce. I have an artist I'm working with, Treva Jones, that's a part of Shea Music, and then I do, you know, I'm working on several other, you know, projects for friends of mine. So that's pretty much what I do.
Okay. Well, let me before I forget, I want to definitely thank Ralph Lawton again for initially connecting me with you, and it's been such a joy since he done it. So I just wanted to make sure that I document me saying that. Thank you again, Ralph Lawton, and he's definitely been an inspiration to me for a very, very long time.
The man. You know, back then, man, all of those records, there was a very special team, and Ralph Lofton, Derek Lee, Terry Baker, they were among the individuals, especially Derek, you know, and then Ralph. I mean, it's, you know, they were the A-team, still are the A-team, you know, and I don't think, a lot of times, man, I don't think musicians and people like that who dedicate their lives and give so much of themselves, you know, really get the recognition and get the attention that they deserve. But, you know, Ralph, Derek, all of those are very, very special. You know, people couldn't have done, you know, anything without the people that surround me. If I have any sense at all, it's the braining up to know that you surround yourself with, you know, with quality individuals, and everything that I've been blessed to do and all of the awards and accolades. It's not me. It's the people who are and have always been around me.
Wow, that's amazing. So humbly expressed. So, all right. So the beginning of something, this is my perspective, the beginning of something is sort of forms an outline. And as time progresses, the outline begins to expand and to flourish. So with that being said, I want you to initially, I want to know when initially did you find yourself interest in music, and what sparked this particular interest?
Man, you know, that takes me back to Baltimore. I don't know if you got a chance to talk to my cousin earlier today.
You know what? He's on here. Let me just because I want him to join us on.
Yeah, he's probably. I just sent him.
But this him right here. But I wanted him to join us on Facebook. But that's okay. He's on here so he can listen. All right. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Tell us how that began.
Yeah, man. You know that goes back to, you know, to high school. And actually back in the day, before I really got into music, man, believe it or not, I wanted to be a meteorologist. I wanted to be a weatherman. But, you know, when and I can remember my band director in high school, Tom was the inspiration, man, for, you know, for myself and so many, including, I don't know if you're very familiar with his name, you probably are, but the name Lloyd Barry.
Yes.
So he's my brother in music and, you know, in love and ministry and all of that. You know, Lloyd is a horn arranger, did all of the, you know, the big horn songs for Kirk and the Tommies and what have you. But anyway, you know, in high school, Mr. Delane basically, you know, inspired me, and piqued my interest in. And since high school, I've never wanted to do anything else. I started arranging in high school, went to Tennessee State, and then as a freshman began arranging music for the marching band. And naturally, being in Nashville, that led to going over on Music Row, and I remember walking around Music Row, knocking on doors with my attaché case and my cassette tapes to show some of the arrangements, and basically entered the industry as an arranger.
Wow. Wow, 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 that's amazing. Okay, so now that you are acquainted with your expression in music, how did you begin to kind of groom your musical identity?
I think my musical identity is the sum total of my experiences in music and the people that have mentored me.
Okay.
And my path musically. Identity wise, early on, after graduating, well, actually, by the time I graduated from Tennessee State, signed a contract with Motown, as an artist with Motown, and became a writer and an artist at Motown. And there were individuals in my R&B band, Jesse Boyce, in particular, that had a lot to do with mentoring me in terms of the music industry and familiarized me with Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And then, of course, at that time, I was kind of fresh out of Tennessee State. So the music that we did, though it was R&B, was always arranged and, always kind of organized, so to speak. So, and that became my. I always say that most producers, a lot of producers are musicians, and you can usually tell if you listen. You can usually tell what instrument, the producer plays, by listening to his production. In my case, I was always an arranger, so my music and even now my productions are guided by arranging. And
Wow.
so hopefully that answered your question.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe in 1990 you worked with Clifton Davis with Jesse on the album that he did on Benson. Do that ring a bell?
Yes, that does. Clifton and I are still close.
Okay.
Clifton is in New York. At least last time we talked, he was in New York on Broadway.
Okay.
Doing Aladdin.
Wow.
But yes, Clifton was that was a project for Benson Records.
Wow, wow. Well, so I'm gonna take a music intermission because I kind of want to kind of visualize or pictorialize your creativity as it began to expand throughout the years. So we're gonna go back to 1979 and listen to the Williams Brothers. Lord, I want to be close to you if I can find it.
79. Did I raise that or something?
Yes. Remember, you were just doing. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you were just doing horns. Yeah, just horns. All right, so here we go. Let's take a listen. Man, I really want you to know, and I always do this. I talk to you a lot. Like, I like to embrace the moment. So, like, if I continue to love on you, please just allow me. I just want to love on you at that moment from 1979, man. Listen, I mean, like, what you did in 1979 is still relevant today. People can still learn from what you did in 1979. So again, thank you. So I want to lead into, so what is the duty of strings and horn? And what do they bring to a music composition?
I look at music and arranging. As you're basically an artist, you're painting a picture. And first of all, I think in general, my philosophy or my concept, especially being born and raised in Nashville musically, it's always about the song. And I think a lot of artists, some artists and writers, just individuals get caught up into, in vocal performance and music performances and all of that. But it is about painting the picture and showing the song and complimenting the artist. So I think that, horns and strings kind of complete the picture.
Wow. So it's, in other words, kind of like the icing on the cake. Or...
That's exactly it. In fact, that is the exact term that, that we used to use when, excuse this expression because it's obsolete, but we used to use when we said making records. Nobody makes records anymore. But that term used to be referred to as the sweetening. Yeah. Oh man, look at that. You did do your homework.
Man, I get so many records. Wow. So listen, so allow me, if you will. So stages in life, they have the ability to steer us towards pathways. So at this particular time, I really want to take some time to acknowledge some of the various stages that have paved the different musical pathways in your career. So with that being said, what was your introduction into the recording industry away from Motown into gospels? Because we're going to speed up to gospel. I know you were with secular, and we're gonna get to that, but I kind of want to make sure that we build in the foundations as it relates to gospel music.
Honestly, when I started my music, my music, this is it wasn't a professional scenario, but my music actually started in church.
Okay.
Waters AME in Baltimore, Pastor Melvin Swan. I guess I was a teenager because, I just got into high school, but he challenged all of the individuals in the church, that played instruments to join together and play music for the church. And it was that challenge, that Lloyd Barry and I first started working together. We both were teens, and even then, man, we were doing wild things, with music in church because, we were in this AMU church, but we would do things with antiphonal trumpets, which is we would play at the front of the church and put the trumpets back in the balcony, and do different things. But that basically, that pretty much was the start. And which so naturally, after coming to Nashville, and you're right, initially my professional music in Nashville was not in gospel. It was in, believe it or not, country and R&B, arranging. On Music Row, doing people like, Kenny Rogers and Jimmy Buffett and, a lot of those individuals back there. And honestly, I think that one of the things that matriculated me into gospel music was back in the day, and you were African American, in Nashville and other places, there was not a lot of work, for us, for African Americans that were arrangers and string arrangers in Nashville. So initially, man, I started producing to create work, arranging work, and started arranging projects for Word Records, James Bullard. I must mention James, because James is a brother, one of the brothers back in the day that was an administrator early on, in the gospel industry. But James was instrumental in bringing me to Word to produce Shirley Caesar. And that was 1983. And once I produced Shirley, then things started to happen, and I stayed more in gospel.
Wow. So, which that actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to tell you, I think that was in 1981.
I think that was, well, let me put it this way, and I'm not, it could have been 81, but let me say this, and I'm not trying to be vain in saying this, but I remember that the Grammy was 83.
Oh, okay.
Because that was my first gospel record as a producer.
Oh, producer, but because I thought you did He's Gonna Listen with Shirley Caesar in 1981.
Yeah, I probably did. But
you wasn't producing.
I was arranging, yeah.
Right, okay.
that was 83, and to this day, Pastor and I are, still, very close. I remember, Pastor has Pastor Caesar is the only individual that I have ever worked in the studio that we actually did a song in one take, because I'm one of those really particular perfect kind of guys. Pastor went in. We did a Thomas Whitfield song called "Time to Come Back Home," and Pastor and Bishop Williams had just got married when we did that record, and she went and did a one taker. So,
Wow, wow, wow. So I think that this calls for another music intermission. Yes, you've been included and involved with a lot of the early gospel record labels, or particular secular labels that had divisions that did gospel. But another thing too, I want to say before I go to this song, this is my view. I believe that when you came on the scene, of course, you had individuals uh, that was acting as a producer, but you kind of brought it to the forefront as you structuralized in a sense. But this is my perspective, because, like, take for instance the 50s. Like the 50s, it wasn't a lot of live recording. In fact, I'll just say it wasn't a lot of live recording. I know that they kind of geared Abyssina Baptist Church and Reverend Lawrence Roberts as being the open way for a live session. But in the studio, pretty much I've interviewed a lot of people that they say they go into the studio, and they just, whatever they do, that's how it go. And then the live recordings, it really wasn't any type of structure in a sense. But when you come on the scene, like, you bring in these horn arrangements, and not to deviate, not to take away anything from Andre Crouch and Hawkins, but anything like that, but just on a larger scale, where in my mind. So I appreciate your vision and innovative initiatives to, go ahead and structuralize and begin to, bring this structure to gospel music. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go to Shirley Caesar, Pastor Shirley Caesar. You were still arranging, and we're going to take a listen to, actually, let's speed up a little bit and go to 1990 and take a listen to Orlando Draper.
Orlando Draper.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that you co-wrote this song with Ralph Lawton.
Oh, you must be going to play Hold On. Always hold on to your friend. You surprise me.
All right, here we go.
When you feel you can't go on and your faith is almost gone, searching for a new direction to ease a troubling heart. If you have the faith of a mustard seed, your heart can be set free. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You hold on. Hold on. Oh, things may seem bad.
All right.
Man, that was some wonderful music back then, man. And Orlando was such an icon. It would be wonderful if some of that music. There's so many of those songs from back then that were really just great music.
Yes. Oh, and again too. Well, not again, but I caught myself. I like to correct myself. I used the word that I should. I used brawn. It should have been brought. So I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that mistake. So let's go here. So can you please? Well, here we go. Pretty much. So like the term producer is more than just a musical ornament. In fact, it's definitely a true ministry. And literally, I'm so glad that I've lived in such a time to witness your creativity as it relates to producing. So could you take this time and just expound on the duties of a producer?
Man, I'm glad you asked that. Um, for on many levels, but I guess the easiest way to the fastest way to define a producer is a quote that I heard that I got from someone on watching TV once that said, "A producer is the person that makes it happen." But a real producer is responsible for everything, and in order to produce, you need some knowledge, some knowledge of um, multiple things involved. You need some musical knowledge. You do not necessarily have to be a musician, but you need musical knowledge. You need organizational skills. Um, you need management. You need management skills. You need psychological skills because you need to be able to, um, you know, excuse this word. It's not a good word, but my wife says I do it all the time. You have to be able to manipulate individuals to get what you're really wanting and to get what you're trying to bring to a project. And so many times, man, I see artists, young and otherwise, make mistakes by going in the studio or starting a project or a song without a producer, or mistakenly thinking or feeling that they can produce, but they really a lot of times don't have a clue. Back in the day, if you were producing, you really needed to know things like tape biasing and a lot of technical information and a lot of musical things. It's a lot more than saying yes, I like that, and no, I don't. You know, you have to manage money. You know, you have to be able to get good performances from people on a bad day, or have the wisdom to just say, look, we're not going to work today. Let's do it tomorrow.
Wow.
Somebody may be, an artist may be singing terribly, and you may have to make them think they're singing great, or they may be singing great, and you may have to make them feel like they're not singing well at all, because it's all a part of getting the best performance. But returning to your original question, about what is a producer. A producer does all of that. He doesn't only sit behind the console and shake his head yes or no. He has to know what engineers should he use, what musicians should he use. He has to conceptualize the song in his mind, right from the beginning, before it's even reality. He has to see it and know how to bring the elements together to make that picture, to paint that picture that he sees in his mind, and to make it a reality.
Wow. Wow. Now, let me ask you this question. So, how do you decipher your producer's creativity with an artist's vision? How do you decipher your creativity with the artist's vision? Because sometimes that can be kind of rocky.
It is always rocky. It is always rocky. You know, uh, I have ongoing situations, but that's always rocky. Here's the thing. Okay, going back in the day, there was a time that when an artist signed with the record company, artists really didn't have a lot to say about what recording, was, and that's because I'm gonna come up to your point, but that's because there's so many things involved, that artists, record companies basically spoke for artists, because first of all, an artist many times, especially a new artist, are not familiar with where they're going marketing wise. And many times, an artist or a young artist, what the vision that they have, it's typical for an artist to say, well, I want my record, I want to touch all the bases, for lack of a better word. I want to touch all the bases and all the genres. I want my record to do everything, but that does not work typically, because typically there has to be a marketing plan, and a direction. And that direction, I know that, where the rocky part comes in is that many times the artist concept of what they want to do is not in line with what the record company wants and what the record company is planning to market. That's in the day of record companies. Now that's beginning to be obsolete as well. So But I do think that a producer should very much respect an artist, should respect an artist's creativity, respect an artist's desires and an artist's wishes. But you basically have to be the liaison between the artist and the executive producers or record companies to steer this project in a way that now here's this may be news to many artists, but you got to stir it in a way that the company and the marketing individuals are going to be happy, and that may not be what the artists have in mind. So usually there is a compromise, so there should be a compromise. But I will say this, an artist should trust their producer, 100%. But on the other hand, the producer has the responsibility, to respect the talent and the creativity and the input of an artist. And you really have to see whether, even if you don't agree, you need to know where they're coming from, and you need to respect their wishes and desires.
Got you. So I guess we'll take another musical intermission. And thank you again for just allowing me this opportunity to just explore your career. And I think, I think it's going to, well, I know for a fact because I had an epiphany to do this. So I know that in the right time, or as time progressed, it began to gravitate and embrace people and serve as an inspiration and help people out. So we're gonna go to, I guess, Kurt Franklin. Let's take a listen to Pastor Shirley Caesar with
Brother Kurt.
And you have to, after we listen to this, kind of, elaborate a little bit on what's going on in this song.
Okay.
Called to be a part of this powerful gospel concert with Franklin. I think I was probably at home, maybe working on a sermon, or maybe doing a tape. No more document here. I got a mother. Where no be anybody got a mother.
Man, it's something about the sounds of Pastor Shirley Caesar. I mean, that's amazing.
Man, I look at her. We recorded a few years ago. She hasn't changed. She has not. She still has that energy. She still has that vocal ID. She has not changed.
Wow.
That brings back memories.
Wow. So as a music admirer or admirers, we see or we hear the beauty of that masterpiece, but from a producer's point of view or perspective, what does it take? What are some key factors to produce such an impactful piece as Caught Up?
Well, again, I go back to the common denominator, man, of most great music is the song. It's the song. Now, from a technical standpoint and a musical standpoint, that's another thing. I have to tip my hat to Brother Franklin as I listen to vocals, because that was a really nice experience for me creatively, because I can specifically remember being in the studio in LA with Kirk, and Kirk sitting next to me as we worked on vocals and what have you. And I was not, Kirk really challenged me to give 100%, as I typically do anyway, but I was not used to artists with having the ears that I kind of have.
Right.
And again, I'm not speaking vain, but Kirk had super ears, and not only challenged me in that regard, but it helps me right now. Some of the things that I do, I go back to Kirk and I sit down in the studio in LA, and things like the sound of the tenors and make it. Kirk was a tenor guy. He always want the tenors to be relevant. So from a musical standpoint, it is exactness. From a live, you're talking about the sound. From a live perspective, it is controlling your environment. Because if your environment, if you can't control your environment, then sonically the recording is not going to be good. And I learned through many individuals, you know, back in the day and along the way, especially when it came to gospel recordings. Because mind you, when I went in to gospel, you know, this may surprise some people, but when I went into gospel, you know, I didn't know a lot about things like the anointing, you know, and that, I mean, at that time I was, you know, a neophyte, and you know, and what was relevant to me was how exact it was and how perfect
Right.
it was, you know. But there's a certain amount of anointing and a certain amount of feel. I'm saying all of that to say that in a live recording, if you don't control your environment, then a lot of the anointing and things like that on the back end you lose, because you have to overdub or replace this and replace that. So in order to have it sound good and control the moment, you know, you have to control the environment. You know,
Wow.
you can't have the music too loud, you know, because again, you have to control the sonic integrity of the music. So I usually tell the audience before I record, I just tell them up front, look, I can make y'all happy tonight, or I can make you happy forever. You know, so in the hopes that they understand, you know, the trade-off between, you know, having sound, you know, and there's something to be said on the other time. I mean, on the other side too, because I specifically remember the night of the song that you just played. Some artists, they don't want you to keep the volume low because it's a certain amount of energy and feel that comes in creating the moment. Because, you know, recording live is about preserving the moment. So it has to be a good balance, you know, between the two.
Wow. Wow. Whew, I mean, I'm certainly enjoying this. I just want to give Miss Collins an opportunity if she could hear me. I'm not sure who she is, but I know she's definitely important, definitely and dear to you. So I want to see if she want to just chime a little bit. Let me see here. Let's see if I can get it. Let's see. Okay, is it there? Oh, hey, Miss Collins, are you there?
What?
Yeah, they're talking to you.
Me?
Yeah.
Ah,
How are you?
Hey, that's my cuz.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us some words about Sanchez HArley?
oh, this is fascinating. I'm hearing all of the deep thoughts that Sanchez has about his career and how it developed. So this is a lot of things that I did not know before.
Wow.
And I learned the music.
Thank you so much. I just want to just get your input. Thank you so much for having her join Sanchez.
Yeah, Millicent. You know, Millicent is my cousin, and who's married to Earl HArley, my first cousin. My dad was a twin. You know, so you know, Earl is my first cousin. But you know, Earl, I got to say that, you know, even before I got into music, Earl was such an inspiration to me. Earl is a surgeon at Georgetown now, but back in the day when I was in high school, Earl spent some time at I think at Hopkins and some other schools. So he stayed in Baltimore, a lot, and stayed with us. But Earl was really an inspiration to me because Earl at the time was also attending undergrad school at Delaware State.
Wow.
You know, so when I was a freshman in high school, you know, sometimes Earl would take me up to homecoming, you know, at Delaware State, and it really got me into that HBCU, you know, mindset from early on. And ever since then, you know, we've been inseparable, and he's mentored me in lots of ways, and he's still actually very active. Now he comes here and does medical things at Meharry and does mentorships there.
Wow.
But Earl had a lot to do, you know, early with making things, you know, happen and possible and inspiring me. And especially when it comes to having someone to look up to, you know, as it relates to a young African-American and going to college and that kind of thing.
Wow. Well, we're just embracing on you right now. So let's take another musical intermission. We're gonna be finished really soon, but I'm just, just bathing in this wonderful opportunity, and I'm just so grateful. And let's go back to the album that started it all for me, as it relates to Sanchez HArley. There's a song.
Okay.
Oh God! And you worked with them both, because you worked with Orlando Draper, and you worked with the Queen of Gospel, and I think that was just that was glue way that they did this particular interpretation of "Oh Lord, Remember Me." Let's take a listen to this.
Okay. You've been these things I've forgotten about. But...
There's Ralph.
I can't. For your knowledge, I can't hear the audio.
Oh God, could Albertina Walker do that?
Man, you talk about a stylist. In her own right. I don't think anybody could really mimic Albertina, because she really had this certain style. The thing that I remember about her style, I can say this: if you listen to her music, and when it comes to phrasing, she would wait to the very last minute, in a phrase, and you think she was going to be late, and she'd get it in there, But what I just noticed about the video that you played, and I can't say too much about it, but how great Orlando was.
Oh God.
Man, I'm doing songs right now. Treva and I redid a song that Orlando did together. I mentioned Treva as my artist right now. Treva did a song that we did, on Orlando's record, and it is it's just an amazing piece.
Wow.
So Orlando really was a great writer and a great foreseer, and really vocally his choirs were always an extension of him. God has it all in control. I'm sorry, it's the name of the song. So
wow. Man, okay, so let's see here. So I wanted to save this for last but not least, okay, should I say, because I want to take a moment just to pay homage to the the legacy of Richard Wallace, who just passed away from the Mighty Clouds.
I saw that the other day. Yeah.
So I wanted to take the time. Okay, so there you did get the opportunity to work with the Clouds, and we're gonna take a listen to 19. Well, right before we go there, because I got him on here. Let's see if I can get him. See if I can unmute him. Dr. Earl, are you there? Can you unmute your phone?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Right. Awesome. Could you give some words on Sanchez?
Well, Sanchez, first cousin. We sort of grew up together. I mean, I spent summers in Baltimore for a while. I went to Morgan State. And I just recall in high school, Sanchez is a true, not just a music genius, but a genius. And I remember he would always talk to me in the meteorites. So that's smart. He has a scientific mind as well as a musical mind. But we spent lots of time together. And also when I went to Howard, I actually lived in Baltimore with the family, Uncle Willie and Aunt Sarah and Sanchez. And throughout the years, and even I remember the Motown years, I recall going to Augusta, Georgia, where his band, Bottom and Company, were playing at a nightclub in Augusta, Georgia. So there's a lot of great memories throughout the years. I'm just happy to see him continuing to thrive. And I love his song he did with Pastor Shirley Caesar about the Mother Emanuel Church. I know you haven't played that, but that's I wish it's such a moving tribute to those who passed away during that tragic event. But anyway, those are a few words.
What's the name of that? What's the name of that song?
It's Mother Emanuel. Is that right, Sanchez?
Yeah, Mother Emanuel. Yes.
Okay.
Right, with President Obama eulogizing. That's a great song.
Oh wow. Oh, well, thank you so much, man. This is you just made this so much greater.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, so we're gonna take a listen to the Clouds, and we'll be back. Let's see. We doing good too. We under an hour.
All right, we're good. That Mother Emmanuel, that's a song you should check out. It is, it's actually it's the last song that I did with Pastor. Of course, we did it a few months after that event in, in Charleston. But it's a very, very powerful song and written by a great friend of mine here in Nashville, a songwriter. You should, you know what? When you get off the air, I'll send that to you.
Oh, let's see here. Let's flip the script.
Okay.
Man,
I knew you were going to have to stop there, but it was just getting ready to get good.
Sanchez, man.
Just getting good.
Give me a moment here. I mean, I pray to God, man. I hope I don't get emotional right now.
No problem, man. You have a passion for what you do, man, and that's that's why I appreciate you, man.
Man, I pray to God that before you cross, that you fully come into the knowledge or understanding and really feel embraced and really understand how impactful you've been in life. I really do pray, because you have done a remarkable job. You really have. Man, I have to go back to the song, but thank you, man, for just rendering all that you've rendered down through the years, man. I just appreciate it.
No problem, man. It's a passion of mine, and every night, man, I still do it all night, and it's to bless people and to help somebody. It's not about money or glory or any of that. And I tip my hat to you, man, to for your walk in life and things that you do and have done to keep the legacy of gospel and where gospel music came from. Many of those songs that you've played tonight, I won't say that I've forgotten about them, but man, it's so refreshing going back and looking at them and seeing some of the videos of a young Derek Lee and a young Ralph Lofton and you know what, through what you first played on Pastor Caesar to that last song, Mother Emmanuel, which was only a few years ago, it's a 40-year span, and she sounds exactly the same.
Man.
Exactly the same. So I bless you, man, and thank God for what you're doing. And I pray that all of your endeavors are successful, that you are, that I concur, grows into, that God takes it to the vision in which you have. And it needs to be, you need a platform, man, and you need a megaphone for what you're doing. There should be a megaphone that really announces, what you're doing to the world, as it relates to preserving gospel music and talking about those artists who are now legends in their own right, some with us and some not with us. So thank you, man. Thank you for the call. And we're going to do more together, man. We're going to do all those things that you and I have been talking about doing.
Yeah. And I guess I'll end on this note. Like I always say, you are equipped with what it takes to inspire someone. So never neglect what God has given you, like whether it's just a smile, whether it's just a compliment, render it to someone, because you never know, that compliment or that expression of love can be the very thing that helps someone to get through a rough or painful obstacle in life. So, and like I always say, love on someone and change a life. And pretty much, I just really wanted to kind of understand your how music represents you, and to explore the various stages that led you into gospel music. And I think we've done that so profoundly today. And I'll leave on this note, because she is my favorite gospel singer. No matter what's going on in your life, don't you ever let nobody turn you around. Let me get this queued up. And thank you so much again, Sanchez.
No problem. We'll be talking, you're a night owl like this. We'll be talking at 3 or 4 in the morning. So
over the last 2 months,
cool.
I've lost about 20 pounds, which blows my mind. After 3 months, I actually lost.
Bye, you guys.